Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of critical thinking and argumentation, a vital skill for everyone. We'll focus on sharpening your skills to communicate persuasively and effectively in various situations. Let's explore the fundamental building blocks that make up any strong and convincing argument. Indeed, every truly strong argument is constructed from these essential and interconnected parts. First, we have the claim, which is the main point you are trying to prove. It is essentially the main assertion, or the position, you are working to establish and prove. Think of the claim as the central, core point around which your entire argument revolves. Next, we need solid evidence to back up our claim and make it believable. This includes data, facts, statistics, or concrete examples that directly support your main claim. Remember, your evidence must always be relevant to your point and highly credible. Then comes reasoning, which connects your evidence to your claim logically. Reasoning provides the logical connections, showing how your evidence directly links to the claim. It clearly explains the how and why your chosen evidence actually supports your claim. Finally, we consider counterarguments, which are opposing views to your position. These are the opposing viewpoints or potential objections that others might raise against your claim. Thoughtfully addressing these counterarguments actually strengthens your own argument considerably. Let's delve into the 4 key types of evidence you can use to bolster your arguments. You'll learn how to support your claims effectively using these various powerful forms of proof. First, we have statistical evidence, which uses numbers and data for concrete support. This type provides data and figures, offering very concrete and quantifiable support for your points. Next, consider anecdotal evidence, which involves personal stories or experiences. These are personal stories or individual experiences that powerfully illustrate a specific point. Then, we look at testimonial evidence, relying on expert opinions. This involves expert opinions or statements from authorities, adding significant credibility to your argument. Finally, there's documentary evidence, which comes from official records. This includes published research, official reports, and other well-documented information. Now, let's learn how to effectively evaluate any argument you encounter. We'll explore critical questions to ask, assessing an argument's overall strength and validity. First, consider relevance. Does the evidence directly relate to the claim? Ask yourself, does the evidence presented truly and directly support the argument's main claim? Next, assess credibility. Are the sources reliable and trustworthy? It's crucial to determine if the sources providing the information are truly reliable and trustworthy. Then, check for consistency. Does the evidence align with known facts? Verify if the evidence is consistent and aligns well with other established and known facts. Finally, look for bias. Are there any hidden influences? Investigate whether there are any underlying biases or hidden agendas influencing the information presented. Let's outline the 5 essential steps to construct a truly strong argument. These steps will guide you in building a persuasive and incredibly well-supported case effectively. Begin with a clear claim, stating your position precisely and without ambiguity. Always start with a specific and direct statement that clearly articulates your position. Then, support your claim with solid, relevant, and credible evidence. Ensure you use evidence that is relevant, credible, and sufficient to back your claim. Apply logical reasoning to connect your evidence to your claim seamlessly. You must clearly connect your evidence to your claim using sound and compelling logic. Next, address counterarguments by acknowledging and refuting opposing views. It's important to acknowledge and then effectively refute any opposing viewpoints you encounter. Finally, conclude effectively by summarizing and reinforcing your main point. To conclude effectively, summarize your key points and powerfully reinforce your main claim. Now, let's explore 3 distinct approaches to logical reasoning. These approaches offer different paths for reaching sound and well-justified conclusions. First, deductive reasoning moves from general principles to specific, certain conclusions. It's a process that moves from very general principles to reach specific and certain conclusions. Next is inductive reasoning, forming generalizations from specific observations. This approach forms broader generalizations based on a series of specific observations. Finally, abductive reasoning proposes the most plausible explanation for observations. It works by proposing the most plausible, or best, explanation for a set of observations. Let's start by understanding deductive reasoning, a fundamental concept in logic and critical thinking. Deductive reasoning starts with a general idea, leading to a specific, certain conclusion if the initial premises are true. Now, let's explore inductive reasoning, which takes a different approach to reaching conclusions. Inductive reasoning moves from specific observations to broader generalizations, resulting in probable, but not certain, conclusions. It's crucial to beware of logical fallacies, which are common errors that undermine the strength of an argument. These are simply errors in reasoning, which can significantly weaken or invalidate any argument you're making. The first fallacy we'll discuss is ad hominem, a common tactic to deflect from the actual issue. This fallacy involves attacking the person making the argument, rather than addressing the argument itself. For example, saying you can't trust him because he's young is a classic ad hominem attack. Next, let's look at the straw man fallacy, which misrepresents an opponent's position. Here, you distort or exaggerate your opponent's argument to make it easier to attack. An example would be claiming, "My opponent wants to destroy the economy," which is an oversimplification. The false dilemma fallacy limits choices, presenting only two options when more actually exist. This fallacy wrongly suggests there are only two possibilities, forcing a choice that isn't truly exhaustive. A common example is, "You're either with us or against us," ignoring any middle ground. Finally, we have the slippery slope fallacy, which suggests a small action will lead to extreme consequences. This fallacy argues that a seemingly insignificant first step will inevitably lead to a chain of negative events. For instance, stating, "If we allow this, the whole system will collapse," is a slippery slope argument. Now, let's shift our focus to the pillars of persuasion, essential for influencing your audience effectively. These three rhetorical appeals are fundamental tools for crafting compelling and impactful arguments. The first pillar is ethos, which focuses on establishing your credibility and trustworthiness with your audience. By demonstrating your expertise and good character, you build trust and make your argument more convincing. Next is pathos, which involves appealing to the emotions of your audience to create a connection. Engaging with their feelings, values, and experiences can make your message more relatable and impactful. Finally, logos refers to the logical appeal, using facts, data, and sound reasoning to support your claims. This involves presenting clear, rational arguments backed by evidence to persuade your audience intellectually. Let's summarize the key takeaways from our discussion on critical thinking and argumentation. These points will help you build stronger arguments and critically evaluate information in various contexts. Remember, every effective argument needs a clear claim, supported by strong evidence and logical reasoning. When evaluating arguments, always check for relevance, credibility, consistency, and potential biases. Differentiate between deductive, inductive, and abductive reasoning to understand how conclusions are formed. Learn to recognize and actively avoid logical fallacies, as they weaken the validity of any argument. Employ ethos, pathos, and logos effectively to construct arguments that are both logical and emotionally resonant. Finally, practice analyzing your audience and structuring your communication for maximum impact and persuasion.